Hello, and we are back for another Monetize with Megan. Oh, my glasses have such a glare. There we go. We're on for another episode of Monetize with Megan, and today we are talking about dancing with both masculine and feminine energies inside your business. And as someone who has been playing with polarities and frequencies for a couple of decades now, let me tell you, one of the secrets to my seven-figure success is that I have not gone in only one direction, either like this hustle and grind old paradigm of like masculine energy, urgency, and yeah, just that hustle and grind, or the other full opposite of like the flowy, just like manifestation mentality. It'll come to me in my greatest meditation, right? I've really walked the middle path of honoring both my masculine and my feminine, and because I bring those two together, I have found it to be quite easeful and joyful to, not without challenge, but still joyful and easeful in creating a seven-figure business. And part of what I support my clients with is coming out of this overcorrection in either direction, especially for women who have experienced burnout, like maybe in corporate, or they created a business so that they didn't have to be in corporate, but they just replicated what they were doing in corporate, which is oftentimes a lot of masculine energy. And masculine energy is so beautiful. It is so magical. We really need it. But when we are resting there all the time, especially as women, we're going to find it as extremely demanding. It's going to take us out of our center. And so in intuitive business, which is what I do, it's so important to find the beautiful balance between the two. And there's been a lot of overcorrection for women, which is like all divine feminine. If I'm a divine leader, I'm never in my masculine, right? And instead, we are whole beings on our own. Men are whole beings on their own. Women are whole beings on our own that have access to both polarities of masculine and feminine energy. And access to those energies is no exception in business either. And so one of the first things I start deconstructing with my female clients is the old way of hustle and grind, and of trading time for money, and of going into burnout, which often means we think we're in service, but actually we're in sacrifice. So if we're in overproduction, we think we're being generous, and we think we're just being like really great customer service and pouring into our clients, but we cross a particular threshold from service into sacrifice. And for us to keep that up, we're like revving the engine on the masculine side, right? One of my favorite sayings from my very own mentor, Sundari, is you get to slow down to speed up. And how many times I've been able to do that in my business and that be something that catapults me, right? To lean back into that feminine energy and then execute in the masculine energy. But that doesn't mean that I stay in execution all the time. I also don't stay in lean back energy all the time. And I created what is called the Easeful Weekly Schedule to create your seven-figure business, right? I created this schedule because so many people, they couldn't understand, like, what do you mean you generate $1 million and you only work 3 hours a day? Actually, I just got this question from a woman who is considering stepping in to mentor, is like, is that 3 hours a day just what you're doing with clients? Or is that just the 3 hours that you do marketing, right? Like this idea that maybe there's like some bait and switch in there, right? Like, is it really 3 hours a day? And in this template that I've created, which is what I use to scale multiple businesses to 7 figures in part-time hours, it's also what I support my clients in using. I am not kidding. It is 3 hours a day in full, right? in full. That includes my marketing, that includes my sales, that includes my creativity, my delegation, that is my client fulfillment, right? It is all encompassing. And this really came about because I had particular pressure that not everybody has. And pressure is precious. This is like one of the terms that I've coined, because oftentimes when women are course correcting and they go into overcorrection, which is I will only be in feminine energy because last time I burnt myself out, we see that there is this idea that it cannot be both. And so this particular template is 3 hours of working a day, right? Monday through Friday. I do not work Fridays anymore. I work Monday through Thursday, 3 hours a day. However, in the beginning, I worked 3 hours a day, Monday through Friday. And that, like I said, it included everything. It included my creation, it included marketing, it included sales, it included client fulfillment, all of it, because I had the beautiful pressure of being a single mom. I didn't have much privilege in the sense that I didn't have a husband to support me, right? I didn't have, he was actually absent at the time. He wasn't available to be in my kids' lives. And that sort of pressure helped me focus on only that which moves the needle. I didn't play with mental masturbation. What should I do? What's the easiest route? What's the best route? Da, da, da. I just went in and I did. 3 hours a day, I activated that masculine energy of being in implementation and in action. And the rest of the time, I was in my flowy feminine. I was in my motherhood. I was in my self-care, right? And so when I say 3 hours a day, I don't only mean working in the business. I mean in and on the business. Any more than that, I would find myself in sacrifice or in obligation. Those sorts of frequencies do not resonate with wealth or abundance. My life currently resonates with wealth and abundance. So I love that question of like, was that just like working on your business or in? And it's all encompassing. And this is because I could really play with my relationship with the masculine, right? It included a lot of integration around my ideas and interpretation of masculine energy and just male figures in my life. And so the healing and the integration of that set me free. It really set me free. I no longer had a resentment or a resistance to masculine, which meant I didn't have a resistance to a container. It means I didn't have resistance to being assertive. I didn't have resistance to anything that is connected to masculine energy, right? And so if you notice that you have really big vision, and a lot of creativity, and you can sometimes hit great numbers, maybe you make 8 or 10,000 a month every once in a while, but there isn't that consistency. We're playing with some masculine energy right there, right? And so I'm actually going to drop in the comments this easeful weekly schedule that I've used to create a 7-figure business, one that I support my clients with. And remember, this is something that aligns with my natural rhythm. So it's just an example, right? Yours is going to be different. Are your babies at home with you? Well, then we would actually create your schedule around that, because again, we get to let our business work for us. I'm in this beautiful new era where my business literally works for me. My money is outgrowing and working for me. And it used to be the opposite. I used to work for my business, so hopefully I would get paid, right? I used to work for money, so hopefully I could pay for our lifestyle. And now it's the opposite. And this is a beautiful flow of, God, it just keeps coming. Right? It just keeps coming. And that is my invitation to all women, that is so possible, that we're not choosing between motherhood and purpose, that they are not separate, that our wealth and our work aren't in different times of our life, right? Like, it is all at once. It's all available now. And typically it is a coming into one with the masculine and the feminine energy that creates this momentum that I'm currently on right now, and it compounds, right? So now there is a scale in the sense of what I have created continues to grow, but without me putting in additional time or effort. I really get to stay in the genius zone with my mastermind, with my one-to-one clients who are doing deep spiritual initiative work, right? Like that's where my genius zone is. And thank God I didn't spend all this time mentally masturbating about the best strategy and marketing and sales, right? I just committed to it and implemented it. Because for most of you, you aren't business consultants. You want to stay in your genius zone of supporting your clients or of delivering your products. And so it's really important to discover what your natural rhythm is. Now, remember, it can shift and change depending on the season, right? I have a client who is 8 months pregnant. Her natural rhythm has shifted. And she still gets to bring in money, right? So we really get to get clear on what your natural rhythm is, create a container around that. This is, I show up, right? I've had clients come and say, hey, I've given myself a deadline. If I don't make money in the next 6 months, then I'm just done. But I didn't come to my business that way. I came to my business the way I would come to my marriage, the way I would come to my children, which is full commitment. I show up over and over and over, whether it's 6 months, 6 years, 60 years, I'm in it for the long haul. And that sort of commitment comes from masculine energy, right? And then I created a container for all of this juicy creativity that I have, because I could literally stay in the ethers, right? I'm just so wide open, so intuitive. I love being multidimensional. I love playing in the quantum. And so it could be very easy for me to disregard any sort of structure and just stay in that place. But what I've noticed is when I allow myself the structure, and my feminine now has this, it's like the river, right? Feminine is the flowing river and the masculine is the bank. She doesn't overflow anymore. She's not in chaos. My feminine energy is potent. It is so concentrated and so potent that I can't help but have fabulous results, because there isn't resistance to either the masculine or the feminine. They've come together in a singular motion. Now, I do still talk in some of the polarities of the masculine and the feminine energy here, because most people are still experiencing that, but there is a beautiful divine magic that happens when you bring the two together. So I'm going to post below, the Easeful weekly schedule. Play with it, look at it, see how you could implement this. Keep in mind, when I first started, I had a breastfeeding baby and a 1-year-old. And so where I got to fit in my work blocks was at night after they went to bed. And I only had 90 minutes a day at that time, right? I had this 90-minute window because I was working 12 hours a day. And so I had this 90-minute window, and that is where I built this sort of freedom in 90 minutes after they went to bed. And then the other thing, we actually did have a Q&A come through, but I'm having a hard time seeing on here. Okay. Oh, Maureen asked, if it takes money to make money, how do you work past that in order to get your business off the ground? Well, for me, I invested with my own money to launch my business. Oftentimes, and only, this is something that I hear women do, not men, right? But women will go, I can't invest into my business until I'm making enough money to invest in my business. And here's the ultimate truth. And it's what's truth for me, is I used my own money to launch my business, and I didn't actually have enough money. So I asked my grandmother for a $3,000 loan, and thankfully she had $3,000 to loan me, but I was not above asking for support. That is also feminine energy. is to receive, right? And so I asked for support from my grandmother. I sold my house and I got, I think, $6,000. So I had about $9,000 between selling my house at that time. This was many years ago. I had just gotten a divorce. And so that was what I got, is I got a minivan and $6,000 from selling the house. And then I asked my grandma for some money as well. So I resourced. I didn't have good enough credit to take out as much as I needed. Later on, I did. And so I was often pouring into my business with my own funds, right? It wasn't that it wasn't making money, because my businesses launched to 6 figures, all 4 of them, in the first 4 to 6 years. But I didn't wait for my business to make money. That would be like, yeah, I love using this example of a dentist that says, well, I'll go to school to learn to be a dentist after I do my first crown, right? After I do my first root canal. I need to make money doing this before I learn how to do it, right? That was not something I did. I chose to, as a single mom, take every dime that I had and pour it into this because I had pressure. It was either I learned how to support my babies on my own, or I was going to be away from them for 40 hours a week. And I had a small time window to figure it the fuck out, right? So I had my intuition and precious pressure of I wanted to be with my babies. I did not want to have to work 40 hours a week just to pay for childcare and still be on state assistance, right? Like that just wasn't available. I didn't want that. So I had pressure. I had a little bit of cash that I put directly into my business. I had about $500 left each month to buy groceries. I asked my grandmother for income, and I figured it out. What's great is the systems and strategies that I support my clients with, they generate in the first, 2 to 4 months. If you're already in business, now I'm talking like from ground zero. If you're already in business, oftentimes it just takes a couple of tweaks and your income can increase, right? We just a couple months ago celebrated 5 clients in Intuitive Wealth Mastermind that made $100,000 in the month of, what was it, maybe May or something like that. So it's not that it takes a long time, but that I was answering Maureen's question of starting from scratch, right? If you're not starting from scratch, typically it's a few tweaks and you see some great results, especially when we begin combining the masculine and the feminine energies, right? So I don't think I see any other questions here, but sometimes that is Facebook, because then I log off and I see all the comments. So if there is a question or there is comments, I will come back in and answer those in the comments. So this has been so much fun. You can get the Easeful weekly schedule below. Tori's going to post it here shortly. It's called the Easeful Weekly Schedule to Create Your 7-Figure Business. And this is the exact template that I used. No, remember, you can shift it. We want to be honoring your natural rhythm. Some people are like such night owls and they work in the evenings, right? I like to wake up early. I'm up at 5 o'clock in the morning. So notice that you can shift and change this. I have it created to where I can do homemade breakfast with my family every single morning, that I get to see my children off, and that I am completely finished with work before they ever come home from Montessori. And then for the rest of the day, I'm getting to be full hands-on mom and wife. And that really lights me up. You may have a different natural rhythm. So enjoy that. And I will see you next week on Monetize with Megan. Bye for now.